I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
This is Fish Jelly.
Uh,
How are you?
uh, my head is spinning, but I'm good. How are you?
Okay. You just returned from London,
Uh-huh.
London town.
Yeah,
Did you see Estelle?
I did not see Estelle.
You did see Sigourney Weaver, though.
I did.
She is starring in a performance of The Tempest at the Jamie Lloyd Company at Drury Lane Theater
Yes,
in the West End.
in the West End, her West End debut, darling.
How was she?
I thought amazing. I mean, it was a transformative experience for me.
Oh, as so many are. Do
Um,
you want to tell us about it?
oh, you want to start right with that?
Yeah, why not?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, I'd been planning this for months, and then it arrived right when the whole city of Los Angeles is up in flames. So it was kind of the night before I left. It was like we were kind of unsure if we might have to evacuate.
But you left anyway. We'll talk about the fires in a minute.
Anyway, but that's kind of eclipsed. I think the energy that I felt leaving, albeit only for less than 72 hours. And 20 of those were on a plane. So yeah, and it's cold right now in London. Anyway, I got there, and it's been plagued by. It had some initial good reviews in the previews, but it's been kind of beaten up by the theater critics in the UK. But it's a major American star, even though she's half British, doing Shakespeare, a character that's historically was written for, been played by a man. So after I saw it, the production design of this play is amazing. It feels like the Tempest has been, it's set on an island. It looks like a derelict planet. And it's moody. It's the lighting, the production design. It's I don't know. I was transfixed. And let me tell you, I watched 3 film versions of The Tempest pretty, in the weeks leading up to this. And I don't know, this had me more interested in revisiting this text than that did. But I think you have to shout out Sutra Gilmore. She's the set and costume designer. Oh my God. It was fantastic. Anyway, some of the bad press I was reading about her were saying that Sigourney, she's like, because she's not on stage the entire time, that she's like a mother that never leaves. And it's like, well, yeah, it's about a parent and their child that have been cast off, thrown over by Prospero's evil brother. And so when it's played by a man, the man's a dad, so it's a dad on stage. I don't know, like the weird dumb shit people say. Whatever. I think if you happen to be in London and have the opportunity to see this before it's done, I think that's I don't know. I was kind of flabbergasted by how much I really liked it.
Well, that's good to hear.
And not just for her. Oh, and the actor playing Ariel, wow. The range, and there's some singing in it, which I wasn't expecting. But Mason Alexander Park is this actor playing Ariel. Oh, and Caliban too, by Forbes Masson. Wow, I don't know. I was highly entertained. It's dark and strange and disturbing, and all of the themes that are in Shakespeare's last major play. Colonialism, which, the UK has a lot of dark history with itself. I don't know. I think Sigourney, she was also criticized for not being good with verse, but it's like, I think she does just fine. And she's fiery, fury, when she's shouting at, and the parts where she chews out a new asshole for Ariel and Caliban. Well, you're not familiar with the narrative of the Tempest.
No.
Oh, but they were the only, Caliban's the only inhabitant of this island that she's occupied and taken over. And rightfully it should be Caliban's island, because his mother Sycorax was this evil witch that Prospero subdued and also saved the spirit Ariel. And really, Ariel is the one that gives Prospero all their powers. because Prospero as a magician is kind of limited, really. Anyway, there's lots of interesting, fascinating things, but I loved it. I bought a tote and a little poster. I can't believe it was actually less than 24 hours ago that I was there watching this. So I think I'm still processing, but I loved absolutely every minute of it. It's 2.5 hours with I don't know. And I'd never been to the Theatre Royal before. I don't know. I loved it.
I'm surprised to hear about the production design because when I was looking up stills from the production, it just looked like there was one person, Sigourney, on stage. So it looked stark.
It's stark, but with the lighting, and there's all this ethereal, effervescent fabric that's used, and smoke, and other effects. It is one set, but the lighting is completely transforming it. And there's kind of, but by the end, it becomes almost industrial. Which was kind of giving me, Alien 3 vibes with Sigourney Weaver on Fiorna 161, trapped with these people here, and then the chance to escape finally maybe comes for some at the end. But I don't know, like I was in it. And during, I don't know, but again, to each their own, because
the Bible says. The Bible certainly doesn't say that, but it should. Anyway, go ahead.
But even at intermission, like I got a glass of wine, and I overheard somebody like leaving, and the usher's like, "You coming back?" Like, "No, I don't think so." Okay, like, see, the other thing though, it's Shakespeare in the native country of the bard, so I feel like there are considerable expectations that are impossible to meet. How many times have these plays been done over and over again? Even the films I was watching before, like Peter Greenaway's Prospero's books, having Gielgud, who is considered Gielgud and Olivier and Ralph Richardson. No one was ever better than them. Transforming Shakespeare on stage, and it's like, well, I don't know. They're all dead now, so let's move on.
Well, it's important to choose happiness. Okay, well, I'm glad you got to see it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd had a ticket for you.
You bought 2 tickets?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because in case you came.
Oh, well, silly girl.
But it was too close because you saw your diva the weekend before.
Well, and I'm also not flying to the UK for 72 hours. Like, I just know better. But I think for the second half of my adult life, I'm learning that I need to just advocate for my own peace of mind. Anyway, yeah, since the last recording, I went to go see Janet Jackson, and I thought it was great. So she has, they're calling all these pop divas, because back when I worked in Vegas 20 plus years ago, the idea, like, it was just then becoming kind of like acceptable for legitimate musical acts to tour in Vegas. Because, if you were performing in Vegas in the 70s through like the late 90s, that was considered like second tier. Like you were washed up, and so you're relegated to Vegas. But by the early 2000s, it was like any major act was going through there. So it's so funny to me that now, and then of course Celine Dion sort of invented the idea of like a real residency where like they sit their ass there and perform there forever. But now, of course, it's hard to get these pop divas to do that. So what they're calling a residency is like, a handful of shows over a couple of months. And so this is Janet's second time doing that. She did it right before the pandemic with Metamorphosis, which we saw several times. And then now she has Janet Jackson. That's what they're calling this residency at Resorts World. And last year, she had kicked off the Together Again tour, which of course I saw multiple dates. And I thought she looked great. Her energy was great. It was a pared down production, just 4 dancers, which I think she can pull off because the catalog and her stage presence. But and then the stage, like the lighting and all that, it really does work well with sort of a limited team. But I was excited to see how she would sort of switch things up, because she's kind of known for repackaging some stuff and just having like a different hair on. But I was pretty impressed. First of all, she looks fantastic. I'm pretty sure she had some work done, because she looks like she's lost weight, but also her face looks tight in a good way. So I thought she looked fabulous. The costuming is very similar to the Together Again tour, but not repurposed, but similar vibes. In the Together Again tour, she had some sort of thick box braids. This time around, she has her hair braided back, but then she has a piece in. So she has a big lion's mane of hair. But there were some considerable changes to the set list that made it feel fresh enough that I was, excited discovering it. I saw it twice. So yeah, the first night I was impressed. The opening is the same as the last one, but then she does include some more songs. She also breaks up, because she's known for kind of having a segment where she slows things down. And in this one, this is the first time I recall her having so many. So instead of having one long, like 30-minute or 20-minute segment, she kind of broke them into, like, if I'm recalling correctly, 3 different shorter segments, which I actually preferred for just the pacing. And, because some crowds will stand up the entire time because most of her music is upbeat and dancey. And that's a long time to stand up. But it was nice to have multiple breaks where people felt forced to sit down. And Vegas crowds are notorious for being filled with casino guests. Like, these people, the reason they're paying these people millions of dollars to perform is because they want casino guests to come and stay and gamble. So oftentimes you'll get these huge artists in a casino theater, and most of the crowd is not a fan of that artist. They just got free tickets.
Right.
The benefit of that is most of those people don't stand up, because this is not their fave. So for someone like me who doesn't like to stand up, it's great, because you can pretty much sit down for almost all of the concert. But other than that, she did some songs I was surprised to hear her do. She did the song 24 Play from Design of a Decade, which I feel like people don't know that song very well, but it was a number 1 song. And I've never heard her sing it. She did that. She did The Velvet Rope, that song.
But not Just a Little While?
She did not do that.
Damn.
She sang Funny How Time Flies When You're Having Fun, which I don't think I've heard her do in a while. She did that song You from The Velvet Rope, With You from 20YO. There were some surprises in there. Okay. But yeah, she finished the first set of days, and then she'll be back in Vegas in February. If the stars align, I wouldn't mind seeing her again. For the money, to see an act, like a legacy act with so many hit songs, perform for 2 hours, look fabulous, dance these girls half her age under the table. It's a lot of bang for your buck. So even for people who are sort of casual fans of hers, like they can only name sort of the bigger songs, I think you'd still be really impressed. And then to think this lady's about to be 59.
Yeah.
And she's out here. Maybe because I'm such a huge fan, I'm in awe of her. But even if I weren't, I would just think, like, wow. I'm not young, but younger than her. And I can't even imagine turning my head the way she does. You would have to get me to the urgent care. So it's just really impressive.
Yeah.
But since you already alluded to it, and I probably should have started with this, but of course, Los Angeles is affected by multiple fires. The Palisades fire is the largest fire in Southern California history. And the destruction is massive. And, hard to watch. There's that fire. There's the Eaton fire, which is San Gabriel Valley, which we're also very familiar with. And then in the middle of last week, right before the night before you left to London, the Sunset Fire erupted, which is in the Hollywood Hills, which is quite close to where we live. I posted a couple of videos. It was, I mean, I think we were both scared and anxious.
I was just doing some panic cooking after.
Yeah, and I mean, it's understandable because we have never been in such close proximity to the fires. You know, fires in the valley are normal. Like every year you get those brush fires, which are kind of part of, I mean, they're kind of expected, right? But yeah, to have it be this destructive and to hit residential areas and then of course to have it, I mean, I just never imagined that the Hollywood Hills would, because it just hasn't happened before to that magnitude. And then it was kind of a shock, like driving and all of a sudden I just see all the flames and then all these cars are pulled over and, you know, walking up parking garages to get a better look. It was scary. Thankfully, we weren't part of the evacuation zone. And as of today, that fire's fully contained. The Palisades and Eden fires are still blazing out of control, but they do have some degree of containment, which is promising, although the winds are expected to pick up.
Right before the fire started, was that Tuesday? Yeah. I went on a run. And as soon as I got up, I'm like, this wind is out of control. And I got blasted with that wind so hard, it knocked one of my earbuds out.
That's right. And I came home and you're like, your in-ear, your Jabra earbud flew into the middle of the street.
Yeah.
I had to go get you another one. But we received so many messages, people expressing concern, and that's really sweet. Yeah. So we're fine.
But yeah, I mean, we're lucky. Luck is nothing. It's just, we're situated in a favorable area considering, but I mean, it's hard.
Well, the benefit of living in a concrete jungle is
true.
The likelihood of a fire reaching where we live, where there's, you know, overdevelopment is unlikely.
But it's hard to see. I mean, to lose your home and everything, you know, it's hard to see so many people dealing with this.
For sure. And I was debating on whether I wanted to talk about this, but I've been thinking about it all day. So the spirit is moving me to say this. But so the fire started last week, and the past few days I've just seen and have had so many GoFundMe links shared. And I feel a way about this because last night I started actually clicking on the links to read these stories. And like you said, it's so, and I mean, someone who owned a company I worked for, their home in the Palisades was burned down. This is a very wealthy person, but still devastating. And then I have family members who live in San Gabriel Valley, one of whom was very close to the Eden fire and had to evacuate, knowing other people who've been affected. But, you know, it's only been less than a week and we're getting all these GoFundMes like Steve and Vinny lost their house in Altadena. And so we're trying to raise $25,000. They would never ask for help. So we're doing this for them. And I don't know. I feel like there are people who really need help now. So like all those like drives that are happening where people are coming and bringing like items to donate to people who've been displaced. To me, that is what people probably need, right? And like people donating housing or
for right now, yeah.
For right now,
I think that we can get to those other needs.
It just seems really in poor taste to me because I was reading a few and like I'm trying to change up the scenario, so because I found these because of people who follow and shared the link, so I don't want them to. But I am speaking on it. It's like Vinny and Steve, you know. Bought their home in Altadena back in 2007, and they're such a lovely couple. They're gay. They don't have kids. They have 2 dogs. Vinny's a nurse, and Steve is a school teacher. And so, you know, they're always so nice to everyone. So we want to help them out. And it's like, well, wait, wait, hold on. So do they not have insurance? It's too early to even know how that's going to be handled.
Right.
Yes, it's devastating to lose your home, but also these people didn't lose their jobs. Like they still have money coming in. Like,
no, but I think that's a way for loved one to show immediate support. It's somebody
Okay,
that,
so then that's what. So then I thought, am I just an asshole?
no, I
And then
think
I
it's,
thought, no, because what you said is correct. If people who, like, if that happened to us and people who consider us their friends or loved ones or family, and they wanted to do something for us collectively, that's one thing.
mhm.
But this is not amongst loved ones, family, and friends. You are sharing this link with strangers.
Yeah.
Why am I being sent the link? I don't know these people. I don't even know you. And so it's like, and then it's like, I have questions before I give you my $100. Like, do they know that their home is not being covered? Can they not afford to get a place to stay? I mean, they were paying a $4,000 a month mortgage and they didn't lose their jobs.
No, but and I saw another because a colleague's house burned down, and the way that it was phrased was that the GoFundMe was for a much less amount, but that cash is needed like now for like they just need they need access to some amount of cash right now to help them, which makes sense.
I think it could make sense, but okay, if our house burned down,
and somebody gave us $1,000, I mean, that would help with like getting some clothes and food for an interim amount of time, right?
I don't need that $1,000.
No, I think it's people just trying to be helpful.
Right. So of course, again, if people who knew us wanted to donate, and I probably would, knowing me, I'd probably thank them and say, please, like, I can't take this. Like, when I need it, then I'll ask.
Mm-hmm.
But like in good faith, I just can't take this money that I don't need yet.
Mm-hmm.
But again, amongst people who know you, by all means, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, why are you sharing this link with me? Like, there are people who need immediate help now who don't. Vinny and Steve are gainfully employed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the reason I felt that way is because, and again, I found these links through people who follow us. So then that's how I'm seeing them. But I've noticed that, there was I'm trying to change all these scenarios up, but there was a person who got into an accident and missed work for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So then a GoFundMe was done for them, and they raised like $12,000.
Mm.
Okay, this person.
You have to pay taxes on that, right?
Well, 2 weeks you lost of work, and we need $12,000. And then I thought, oh, is it like to cover medical bills? No, because they later said, after all this was done, that like the insurance covered it.
Oh.
So we raised $12,000 for you because you missed 2 weeks of work. You probably make $12,000 in a year. You work part-time.
Oh my God.
Like you work part-time in food. Like you actually complain about how you don't make enough money. How did missing 2 weeks of work equal everyone raising $12,000 for you when all you had to pay for was your ER copay, which is what? I went to the ER. What was it? $250?
It's the same as the panhandling on the street. Really,
all I'm saying,
like if you can make you can make money, but I don't think it's the context. What's the purpose?
I think that I'd rather give my money to people who need it for real.
Sure, of course.
There are people who need shit right now. Like if our house burned down today, we can afford to go to the store tomorrow and get all the things we need. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to feel guilty taking people's money. Mm-hmm. And I would ask people to hold off. Like I would thank them, but like, please don't feel like you have to do this. And I just think it feels like nowadays that it's so easy because all you got to do is do a few clicks, upload a picture and write a little sad synopsis and you can start a GoFundMe. So now there are people in my feed who are asking like, I had a rough week at work. I love a spot. Like and then they do like a GoFundMe for like, they want to take a mental health day off and go have a spa day or something.
Hey, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? Again, I don't think it hurts to ask.
Who works more than I do?
I just think that
who works more than I do?
I think you and I were raised in a way that is like, you do not do that.
All I'm saying is that, I mean, I'm not trying to act like because I've had to really work hard and whatever that other people should have to suffer. But I can't get over like people literally saying I had a rough week at work because I had to work. There's someone else on my feed who did a countdown of all the shifts they had to work,
Mm-hmm.
which amounted to working a full-time job.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Hello. I work like I have to work at least 80 hours a week minimum.
Hey, there's a different generation, a different mentality towards work. And I think that as a country, we are overworked. The working class is.
Yeah, I'm not saying that what I do is admirable. I'm just saying that it's shocking to me that like there are people asking me for money because they work the equivalent of a 40-hour work week when I'm over here.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm a chump.
Yeah, like I'm just stupid then. And but the point is, you can't ask me for money if you really don't need it.
Right.
Like $12,000 for missing 2 weeks of work when you make minimum wage and work part time.
I mean, that person should have gave some of that back. But
or like we need 25,000 because
the other thing is
because our friend's house burned down, but we don't know anything about what they need. We just want to be nice. Okay, then you be nice, but don't ask. I don't know you or these people. That's the point I'm getting at, is that it's like everyone just spreads all this stuff out there. Like,
sure, but
there needs to be context. Like,
yes, but this person that got the $12K that was given willingly, this is a person in life that doesn't have it easy per se. So they got a really nice treat. It's a wonderful life moment for him.
I know I'm going to get so many negative comments because you sound like the nice one in this scenario. So that means I'm being real unreasonable. So,
if I sound nice?
Yeah. If you're the nicer one, then I know I'm probably out of line.
No, I think that we shouldn't just be throwing. Like,
it just feels opportunistic. Like it's not even a week out, and people are like, because first, if our house burned down, $25,000 ain't covering shit.
There are always those, and you do need to ask questions. Remember that lady, that fake 9/11 survivor?
Yes.
Like there's always some ambulance chaser. There's always some opportunist. So it's okay to question those things.
Listen, before you send me a link to your GoFundMe for hospital bills, I need to see the bill. I'm sorry, I need to see the bill.
If I don't know you, okay.
Sure. If I do know you and you ask me for money for a bill, I need to see the bill. I'm not just gonna, because some shit doesn't make sense. There was someone who posted that they had signed a lease for an apartment, and then they got out here and the apartment wasn't available, and then it's just like, who are you trying to fool? Like, there's no way you signed a contract, gave a deposit to a reputable like property management company, and then you come out here and they say, oh, we don't have an apartment for you and you can't have your money back. Like, so that's why you're asking for $3,000.
Small claims court, let's go.
It just like, I have questions. It feels really early in the game to try to raise like kind of an exorbitant amount of money, because it's not going to cover someone getting their home back.
No.
But 25 G's is a lot for some toothpaste and some khaki pants and a t-shirt. Like, I just don't.
Yeah, I agree.
It puts a bad taste in my mouth because I feel like it's doing too much too soon when there are people who need immediate help in a different way. And then let's see how this all pans out.
Well, we're still not on the other side of it yet. The city is still on fire.
The city's still on fire. But yeah, like, I mean, are you safe? Are Vinny and Steve safe and warm? That should be the first question. Mm-hmm. Not like we want to be nice and give them a little treat of 25,000. Mm-hmm. God, I feel like an asshole.
No, again,
I might have to cut all this. I don't know.
No, I think it's important you should question things. You shouldn't just give freely without thinking twice. You should read the fine print. This goes into the same basket as always be aware of your surroundings, because you don't know. And I think that if you're safe and warm and comfortable living alongside neighbors that are clearly, going through it, it's hard not to feel like you're not doing something. And there are people that prey on that kind of survivor's guilt.
For sure.
Portion of it. So no, of course, don't just, and of course, don't give things that you don't have to give. Like, if you don't have the money to give, don't do it.
Well, I need to move to a lighter topic, and in the spirit of questioning things.
I was going to say, though, that I was only in London for a very brief amount of time, but do you know whose song I heard like everywhere? It was everywhere.
Billy Joel?
No.
We didn't start the fire?
Oh, no.
Oh.
But this is some kind of irony. Water by Tyla was everywhere.
Oh, I don't know that song.
Yes, you do.
Oh, I need to play it then.
You have heard Tyla's that's her big single, but I think that was 2023.
I can't play it on the podcast. You know, our last podcast got demonetized because there's an ad embedded with Jane Fonda over that song Blue Monday by New Order, I think.
Yeah.
And so
that's not our fault. We didn't do
no,
that.
I didn't play it, but because it's embedded in the episode,
Man.
that they got demonetized for copyright issues.
Okay.
Anyway, speaking of questioning things, so Matthew Broderick, you're gonna talk about him in the Patreon for the movies we watch for fun, but I just wanted to bring up, I guess I've only ever seen one Matthew Broderick film, which is Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That cannot.
And I
be true.
remember watching that as an adolescent. Well, no, how old? What year is that movie?
Like 85 or 6.
Okay, so I watched it maybe like when I was 12, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking he was very attractive. And then that was my memory of being like an adolescent. And then the only other reference I know of him is that he's married to Sarika Jessica Parker.
Yeah.
But then you watched The Cable Guy, which we're going to talk about on Patreon. But
oh no, we're not, because we didn't finish it.
Oh shit. Okay,
so
well
we will be, but
we
not
will
today.
be. But anyway, we're not going to talk about The Cable Guy. But I didn't realize how appealing I thought Matthew Broderick was. But then also I didn't realize how gay he seems.
Oh yeah.
Until watching The Cable Guy. Is Matthew Broderick gay? Does anyone know?
I think I've had many conversations with people that say that yes, he is. But again, you know.
Well, I'm not mad.
You have seen he's in No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence, which you reviewed.
What? Oh, he's her dad.
Laird. No, he's that guy Laird. He's
her dad.
He's her dad. No.
No? I'm pretty sure he's her dad.
He's in Trainwreck.
Trainwreck?
He's in a couple of episodes of 30 Rock.
What?
Yes, darling.
I do not remember him in anything.
He's in The Strangers with Candy.
Although I just remember that he's the dad, and I'm pretty sure he's her dad. He's the dad. No, I'm sorry.
He's the dad of the kid that hires.
You're right.
Yes.
Yes.
He's in The Strangers with Candy movie.
What?
Mm-hmm. We talked about
what
Election.
year is The Cable Guy?
96.
I think 96 Matthew Broderick is peak Broderick.
We also rewatched that terrible Godzilla movie.
What?
Yeah.
How did he elude me for decades?
Well, I guess you just weren't paying attention. I don't know. My dad would always bitch about him in the movie Glory because I think he thought he seemed too fey, but
to put it, I'm sure your dad didn't put it that lightly.
Oh no, there was language used in the house I grew up in, and I've been meaning to watch because I've never seen it. War Games, very early. I think that was maybe his debut or the same year that he debuted. Anyway,
well, shout out to Matthew Broderick.
Ferris Bueller. My memory of that is learning that Wayne Newton, because you know he famously lip syncs to Donkashane in that, and learning that Wayne Newton was not a woman.
You thought Wayne Newton was a woman?
Because when I was a kid and I heard that song, I thought it was a woman singing.
All right. Moving on to 5 black filmmakers who are not Tyler Perry. Who do you have for us this week?
I think we should. I like 5 on the black hand side. That should be the.
Oh, the Queen Latifah reference. Well, we can call. Well,
there's a movie too.
If we had segment music, that would be a good one. 5 on the black hand side.
Mm-hmm.
But as a reminder, we want to highlight talented black filmmakers so that it decreases my desire to talk shit about Tyler Perry's shitty movies. But anyway,
and to seek out these people's work.
And yes, please seek out these people. So who do we have first?
Shaka King, who once many a moon ago we entertained at our home.
Yeah, he came over for a movie night.
Yeah,
with Yolanda Ross.
Yolanda brought him, and then
oh yeah, she brought him.
He was very entertaining. That
man brought a bag of weed.
Oh yeah,
by entertaining.
But it was a very fun night, and all I remember is laughing with this man. And you were getting annoyed because the movie we were watching was Holiday Hearts.
Oh, my favorite.
Ving Rhames and Alfred Woodard.
That's in my Letterboxd. Oh God, Nicole Kidman talking about how she loves Letterboxd.
Letterboxd,
but then doesn't realize you're only allowed to pick 4 favorites. Like, Mama, you don't know Letterboxd.
Well, you're not on it. Just like how she doesn't know what memes are.
Anyway,
But
Holiday Hearts in my top 4.
anyway, we were cackling through that with Shaka King. And that was that was maybe a year or two after I'd seen his debut, which is Newlyweds. And if you haven't seen that, highly recommended.
But he's also an actor.
Not really.
No?
I mean, no.
Oh.
But his other major credit is Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh, I thought he had been in a couple of things, but I guess not.
But Judas and the Black Messiah, of course, got an Oscar love. Daniel Kaluuya won Best Supporting Actor that year. I did get a phone interview with him. That was also during the pandemic, and it didn't record right, so it will never see the light of day. But it was nice to catch up with him. But yes, Shaka King, very fun, smart, interesting person.
Next on your list,
Kasi Lemmons.
Good old Kasi.
We all know Kasi, who was an actor first. She and is married to, what's his name, Vondi Curtis Hall.
That's right.
And their kid is now an actor who is in that Ryan Murphy series, The Watcher. Anyway, Kasi Lemmons, of course, because she was in.
We've reviewed several of her films.
Yeah,
right?
and you might know her as from Candyman.
She's the friend of the main lady.
Of Virginia Madsen, yeah. But she is the first Black woman that directed a studio-financed film with a theatrical release in Eve's Bayou. Which is
okay, say that again.
It's studio backing.
Because it's crazy to think that in 1997...
and of course, I don't have... She'll come up in a different portion of this list, but Julie Dash was the first... Black woman to get a theatrical release in this country,
which we reviewed that film as well.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the first studio back film directed by a Black woman
1997
was in 1997 with Eve's Bayou, which we of course reviewed
with a very fun Diane Carroll. Then The Caveman's Valentine, I also think is worth checking out with Sammy Jackson. She did Harriet, which we needed a proper Harriet Tubman biopic. I'm not in love with that film, but Cynthia Erivo did get a Oscar nod. And then, of course, her last credit was I Want to Dance with Somebody, the Whitney Houston movie with Naomi Ackie, which was nice. We
also reviewed.
Which was fine.
Which was okay.
And then, I mean, I'm not in love with Black Nativity, but that's got a great cast.
Next on your list?
Alice Diop. Who I first became aware of for her first feature was like a hybrid documentary called We from 2021, which I saw in Berlin. But I was absolutely blown away by her follow-up first narrative feature, Saint Omer, which I saw in Venice, which picked up an award there.
We reviewed that film.
We reviewed it. It was in my top 10 of the year.
It was very good.
Breathtaking. And I don't use that kind of word lightly because that's a cliched word, but absolutely loved it.
Next on your list,
Boots Riley. Whose bed have your boots been under? Sorry to Bother You, of course, is must see from 2018 with Lakeith and Danny Glover and Omari Hardwick and a whole great cast of people. I think Armie Hammer's in there too. You haven't seen that, have you?
No.
I think you need to catch up with that. He also did the I'm a Virgo series, which I have not seen, but I am very excited about his new project, I Love Boosters.
Oh.
Which I believe Keke Palmer and Demi Moore and a whole bunch of other people. Yeah, it sounds really good.
Oh, I would be very excited to see that.
The statements he's made about it too are like, it's going to be kooky and out of this world. And I'm like, yeah,
perfect.
Very excited.
And last but certainly not least,
Bill Duke.
Y'all know Bill Duke.
Y'all know Bill Duke from many movies.
He's I mean, we're like a recognizable character actor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
sometimes plays horrible people. Car Wash is fun though. And then of course, for some reason, Payback, and he's such an asshole in that. With Mel Gibson. But for a director, he's had a very lengthy career as a director as well as an actor. I mean, his, biggest film as a director was probably Sister Act 2, which I don't love that movie, but, that was, but the 90s, I think, were the heyday for his best features. And two must-see films by him are Deep Cover, which is on Criterion, with Lawrence Fishburne, and then A Rage in Harlem with a smoking hot Robin Givens, which is a Chester Himes adaptation, who's a fantastic writer as well. But wow, I think A Rage in Harlem is a lot of fun. And then, you and I relatively recently watched Hoodlum, which I think has a lot of fun elements as well. With Lawrence Fishburne again, Vanessa L. Williams, Cicely Tyson in a way that you've never seen her before.
Yes. Yes. Did we do a pod? I don't think we just talked about it.
I think we just talked about it. But yeah, Hoodlum
I think
is
it's
fun.
worth the watch. Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. 5 on the black hand side. Moving on to the restaurant section. While I was in Vegas, I tried a restaurant called Eggcellent, a breakfast spot. And I have to say, it's really good. It's not near the strip. So if a person doesn't have a car, I would say it's worth getting in a rideshare to go check it out. But the menu was pretty... I mean, it's all about breakfast items with eggs, but they do something that I had never seen before. They have items that are called... They have one called the spicy box, the explicit box, playing on the word egg, and then the nasty box. Oh. And basically, which I don't know, nasty box doesn't sound that appetizing, but they are basically like hollowed out pieces of like bread. Uh-huh. It's almost like those bread pasta bowls from who used to do that? Domino's?
Yeah.
Except it's filled... I think the quality of this bread is better, and then they're filled with all kinds of stuff. So it's like, think of like a scramble, like a skillet scramble.
Oh, a skillet.
That's dumped into this egg box. Or bread box, I'm sorry.
What a dump.
But I have to say, so it's off of like, well, if people don't know Vegas, it won't matter, but it's on the east side. Uh-huh. And so it's not the nicest. It's in a plaza that was whatever. And the restaurant's very simple, but kind of big. And I got there early because I knew it'd be busy. Mm-hmm. And the service was okay. The guy who helped me, he was not very friendly at first. Like, he seemed impatient. And so I was trying to figure out, like, what do I want? And I said, so there's an omelet called the El Diablo. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, is this really spicy? And he just looks at me like, well, I don't know your like your spice tolerance, but it's called the El Diablo. And I'm like, well, sure, but like, it's not made to make people look, because sometimes people make shit that's like, they want you to be in pain.
Right.
And he's like, well, I don't know if you're worried about it. We can take the habanero out.
She said, do you really want to hurt me?
And I'm like, no, I want it the way it's made then. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay. So then he brings it and he's like, well, I would suggest you order some milk. That seems to help with the heat.
You need some milk.
And I'm like, no, I don't want any milk. But then after I started eating it, he would walk by every couple of minutes like, you doing okay? Mm-hmm. You want some ice water? Because he didn't bring me water. The shit was very spicy, but it was very good.
The shit was very spicy.
But
that's a quote.
Yeah. But if you're in Vegas and you want some good breakfast food, I would recommend Eggcellent. If I go back to see Janet next month, I would definitely go back to Eggcellent. Did you try any restaurants in Europe? Well, the UK?
No. Oh. I had, well, I also wasn't feeling well.
You had bubble guts.
I did. So it was touch and go. So I ate very little while I was there. Oh.
There is something in the sorry to this man section. So every week after the podcast, I make a post on YouTube saying like, hey, this week we talk about blah, blah, blah. Check it out. Mm-hmm. And last week we talked about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. But I had a typo in the post and I typed her name Black Lively. And then, of course, I got messages like, typo. But I think that is so funny that I didn't correct it.
Black Lively.
And so I tried for like an hour on Thursday? No, it was like Tuesday last week. I was on Photoshop trying to figure out how to make a picture. I was trying to figure out how to take a picture of Blake Lively and darken her skin and give her textured hair
Oh my
and
God.
then make it a meme that says Black Lively.
No, that's some drag queen needs to adopt that name.
So I just want to say it now. Well, and I didn't even think about that, but
Patented.
someone needs to become a drag queen named Black Lively. And can someone help me doctor a picture of Blake Lively to look
Can
black?
someone get like Lively blackface for me?
Can someone make me a meme of Black Lively?
This woman is
And
having,
I'll post it.
This woman is having a hard enough time right now.
I laughed about Black Lively for
Harassing her like Millie Bobby Brown
for a while. So sorry to this man, but also that shit is so funny to me. Okay, films released we didn't cover. Den of Thieves 2 Pantera.
I mean, neither of us have seen the first one, and the 2 press screenings that they gave me access to did not work in my schedule, so we did not see this new film from Christian Gudegast, which is the first one is 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I said hard pass.
That's too much work for Gerard Butler.
Next, Bird Eater.
Bird Eater. Jack Clark and Jim Weir directed effort. I believe it's an Australian psychological thriller. I have not seen it, but it sounds kind of interesting about a young woman who's invited to her soon-to-be husband's bachelor party and things go awry.
That makes me think one time we were with your mom.
Uh-huh.
And did someone driving. She was driving and someone cut her off or something and she yelled bird ass?
Yep.
And for years we would make fun of her saying bird ass.
Well, because the back of the person's hair is Minnesota, so you know how looked like a bird's tail feathers. I think is where she got that. Yeah. Bird ass.
Lastly, Time Stalker.
Okay, I saw this in Locarno, and I did not like it, and I was very disappointed because it's directed by Alice.
That's the review then.
It's directed by Alice.
We did it.
Alice Lowe, who is very funny. Usually, I think she co-wrote and starred in Sightseers, the Ben Wheatley film, which is how I know her. But this has kind of a similar plot to something like The Beast, starring Léa Seydoux, the Bonello film, about this woman throughout many eras keeps being resurrected, but falling in love with the same man in each timeline. That's not good for her, kind of thing. And it got really repetitive.
Oh,
I think that might have been a 5th movie of the day too. So I was really cranky, but I didn't like it.
More than usual.
Yeah, more than usual.
Noted. All right, on Patreon, we've started reviewing season 17 of RuPaul's Drag Race.
I mean, I was drunk when we recorded that last one, so I probably was talking loose. And then...
No, you just seem bored and irritated, but...
Well, okay.
But, you know.
Was it fun?
I'm sure people enjoy it. Having to be a part of it is not the same, but yeah. All right. Unfortunately, there are entries in the obituary section.
Some shocking things.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with Jocelyn Wildenstein.
Oh, yeah.
So people know her. People would make fun of her appearance, saying she's the cat lady. She started getting... So she is like a Swiss socialite who was married to this billionaire. And her finances are very interesting to me because from what I understand in the settlement, they got divorced like in the late 90s. And she received like a lump sum of like several billion with a B, like booty cheek, dollars. And received like $100 million a year, like in spousal support for like 13 years, I think.
Spousal support.
So this woman received billions of dollars. But then filed bankruptcy like, like 10 years ago, I think. And then like, some of her homes in New York were foreclosed on. And then she commented that it was just due to like poor money management. And then like her, like the family of her ex not giving her some of that money.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how you can run out of all that damn money.
I
promise anyone out there, if there's any extra wealthy person listening to us, if you want to give us $5 million, I promise you I'm gonna make that last. If you want to do an experiment, if you want to see 2 people thrive with just $5 million, give it to me. And I'll make sure that you will be proud of how your money is being handled.
How the seed? What do they call it? Seeding?
Well,
That sounds dirty.
if there are any venture capitalists out there who want to invest, seed us, then
seed us.
Although, didn't I just go on a rant about people asking for money?
Yep, you did. You sure did. You goddamn hypocrite.
Well, you know what? If someone wants to give us $5 million, we can have a private conversation of what we're willing to do for that $5 million.
No, I'm not going to ask for it. You just have to give it.
But she was known for having like extensive cosmetic surgeries. That face was stretched and pulled, and ultimately she ended up looking like something out of the movie Cats. But yeah, she died New Year's Eve. But you know what? I recall her from, like when I first got the internet, and like or like Google, when you could like look up images, and
yeah,
I remember seeing pictures of her, and I was thinking after her death was announced that, it's unfortunate that she lived in a time where cosmetic surgery was still being worked out, right? Because here's this woman who wanted to improve her appearance and had all the money. So she went and did all the things, because we live in LA, which is the capital of people who just get like unnecessary cosmetic procedures because they feel like they have to look better and they have access to the money. And I would argue that there are a lot of women running around, like younger women, who are also getting like extensive cosmetic surgery, and they look crazy in their own way. They all have those light bulb shaped heads because they're getting like fat removal from their cheeks, and they're getting their jawline sculpted. They all have the lip flip with the fillers and the eye lifts and all the Botox and all the injectables. They look crazy in their own way. They're like the equivalent of Jocelyn Wildenstein. Or like a Joan Rivers, where it's like, well, yeah, they're not doing any more procedures than you're doing.
Turning themselves into Stepford wives.
It's just that back when they were doing it, it wasn't as refined. So,
well, Jocelyn's face looked like Bruce Campbell in Escape from LA worked on her. If you remember.
Or on the show Martin, when Tisha had that allergic reaction. Well, Tisha Campbell's character Gina had that allergic reaction to the avocado mask.
The avocado,
But I want to hope, or I want to believe and hope that she had a nice life, and that the people who were close to her were kind to her, because goodness knows everyone who saw her picture made fun of her. Next, a character actor named Bill Byrge died.
You would probably just recognize him from the Ernest films,
like Ernest Scared
Jim
Stupid,
Varney. Yeah, he was a co-star in all those. He was like 92 though.
And then it was reported this past week that Anita Bryant died.
No, I didn't see that.
So she is a known activist against gay rights. So she is not a friend of Dorothy, but so this is kind of funny, because apparently she died December 16th, but her family didn't report it until earlier this week.
Oh, I was thinking you're going to say she's still alive, and I was like, damn.
No, but it's funny because I think around that time, didn't I report that her granddaughter, who's a lesbian, was on a podcast saying that she's debating on whether or not to ask her grandmother to come to her wedding.
Oh.
But it seems like her grandma would have died days after that recording. So that's kind of I guess she doesn't have to worry about that problem now. But yeah, to many queer people or people who call themselves allies, Anita Bryant is a curious case indeed.
The orange juice queen.
Who was a beauty queen also. And
her campaign was that the gays were recruiting children.
A good Christian who spends her free time hating on other people.
She was a goddamn bitch.
All right. And then this was shocking. The drag queen, the Vivienne, died.
I was shocked. I thought the posts I was seeing at first were like weird jokes.
So we're very familiar with her. She won the first season of Drag Race UK. She was also on Drag Race All Stars. I really liked the Vivienne. Her name out of drag is James Lee Williams. I thought the Vivienne was so funny. Like the minute we saw her on that first season of Drag Race UK, it's like, oh, well,
her Trump impression.
oh my gosh. I mean, she just like, she's going to win this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she did very easily.
Mm-hmm.
But although she was, you know, Bag of Chips was on that season, who was also
very
quite
strong.
Quite strong. But yeah. And then from Drag Race All-Stars, because they had a roast and then a commencement speech they had to give. I thought the Vivienne was hilarious. She went on to have quite a nice career. She did touring productions of The Wizard of Oz. I think she had roles on the West End. Mm-hmm. She was on the UK's version of Dancing with the Stars. Or I think it's like a show where like they do ice skating, but it's like celebrity ice skating.
Mm-hmm.
The Vivienne was only 32.
Yeah. Did they release what?
No, but you know, she had been open about issues with drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. And if you look on her Instagram, her most recent post over the holidays, she is very thin compared to what we're used to. So, you know, I mean, I'm not a medical professional. I would assume that for someone so young who also had issues with drugs and alcohol, and looked like they had lost a lot of weight, maybe she had like a sudden heart attack due to, I don't know. But I mean, it was a shock to hear. And I was quite sad about it because I was looking forward to more things from her.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that just very, very unexpected.
Lastly, the director, Jeff Baena.
Yeah.
He died as a result of suicide. Mm-hmm. He is also the husband of Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was reading stuff about it, and I just think, you know, we never know like what people are going through. And just because someone has like a life you think is glamorous or admirable, just because someone looks a certain way or has a certain amount of money, drives a certain kind of car, owns a certain kind of house, has a cool job title, like you just don't know. And I found it kind of, I mean, it is sad, not kind of sad.
He was only like 47.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, I've seen all of his films, and you and I reviewed his last two, Spin Me Round and Horse Girl. I think
apparently Horse Girl, because he had said related to that script that, because he wrote it with, what's her name, Alison Brie, I think.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That it's partially based on like his own mental health struggles, and he has a family history of mental health issues.
Well, his second film, Joshi, is pretty dark as well. I think my personal favorite is The Little Hours, which I think was at Sundance. That's where I saw it. But, you know, he's been around a while. He co-wrote I Heart Huckabees for David O. Russell. That was his first kind of major thing. And yeah, wow.
You know, well, rough transition. So the secret movie this week was technically your choice, but we were limited because you were traveling. Mm-hmm. So you watched 3 movies on the way to London. And so I chose from those 3 options. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what the 3 movies were?
The Wasp was the first one.
Okay.
And you decided not to watch that.
Okay.
With Natalie Dormer and Naomi Harris. There's some interesting things about it, but it felt like I could have seen that as a play.
Oh.
Then I watched Sting, another film I'd missed last year, which is a spider creature feature that I didn't hate it. I think it could have been better, but it was fun enough. I didn't mind it, but whatever. And then the film that you chose.
Yep, I chose Little Bone Lodge, also known in North America as The Last Exit, a 2023 thriller directed by a Matthias Hohn. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with Matthias Hohn?
I am not.
I chose this one because I read the description of each, but I saw that Little Bone Lodge, aka The Last Exit, had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, albeit based off 8 reviews. But it did sound interesting, so that's the one I chose. It's available on Tubi. Mm-hmm. What is this film about? Set during a vicious storm, two criminal brothers on the run seek refuge in a desolate farmhouse. Taking the resident family captive, they find the house holds dark secrets of its own. What were your overall thoughts of The Last Exit?
It's entertaining. It's got a lot of little twists and turns, but also will remind you of several other films maybe kind of mashed together, but not in a way that I thought at all was unpleasant. I put it on originally because it's had Jolie Richardson, and I'm a fan of hers.
And her mom is
Vanessa Redgrave. Her dad was the excellent film director who was gay, Tony Richardson. So I've seen Jolie for a long, and then of course her sister was Natasha. They're
Liam's ex or Liam's.
Yes, Liam's ex.
Well, not ex. She died.
Yes, he's the widower.
Widow, yeah. I thought this was very effective. From the instant it starts, you know exactly what's happening, but the character work is really strong.
Yes.
So I felt very invested. And there is a little twist at the end that I did not see coming, but overall it was very effective.
I think it should have been, there's a line that Jolie Richardson says towards the end, come to mama. I think that should have been the title.
Oh, that'd be, Little Bone Lodge is a horrible title.
Yeah, it doesn't, I almost didn't watch it because of that. But then I'm like,
and then Jolie. When I saw that, I'm like, what the hell kind of movie is this? And when I read about it, it just gives off the wrong vibe. The Last Exit also feels
too many films that sound just like that.
I'm just now noticing this film is from the producers of 47 Meters Down.
Yes.
Which you know I love. But the story is very simple. There's a family living in this remote farmhouse in Scotland, and it's a mom, Jolie Richardson, her husband, who's in a wheelchair, and the daughter, who's maybe like, 16, 17?
Yeah, Sadie Suberall.
So they're at home. It's the dad's birthday, and the dad is wheelchair bound and nonverbal. But it's his birthday, so Maisie's baked her dad a cake. They light it, sing happy birthday, give him some. When all of a sudden, there's pounding on the door. And it's at night. It's a stormy night. And that makes me think of Stormy Daniels, which makes me think of Stormy Daniels hosted a reality show called For the Love of Dilfs.
Okay.
And it's like, it has 3 seasons, and it's basically like all these gay dilfs, like it's like a dating game where they're in this like mansion and they're vying for the love of himbos, so like these young gay men,
male bimbos.
Yeah. And the only reason it caught my eye is because I saw like a thumbnail for someone reviewing one of them, and I recognize this man from someone I see at the gym. So that's what caused me to click on it. And then I realized, oh my God, the host of this show is Stormy Daniels. She's not very good at hosting.
Oh, well, I think her talents were somewhere else.
Anyway, so they're singing happy birthday, cutting the cake, when all of a sudden there's pounding on this door. So the mom gets up, and on the other side of the door, there are 2 guys who we find out are brothers. And the one is screaming like, please help us. We got into a car accident. My brother's hurt. You have to help us. And the mom, Jolie Richardson, is saying, well, we don't have a phone here, so I can't call. Please let us in. We need help. So she lets them in. And it's clear that she has some medical training because she's able to stitch up the one.
Well, they got to pull a metal rod right out of him too.
That too. But we find out that the 2 brothers are clearly on the run, and they are trying to drop off something. And it's time sensitive. So the older brother, the one who was injured, he's telling...
Who's played by the screenwriter.
Oh.
Neil Lindpau.
I liked him. I liked everyone, actually.
Yeah.
But he is saying like, well, you need to give me your car so I can go drive to the payphone. And she's like, you're not taking my car anywhere. But then The younger brother has emotional issues, and we find out that he was in a psychiatric facility and was broken out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on the news.
And someone was murdered in that breakout. Yeah.
Right. So the younger brother, and younger meaning like if the older brother is 30, maybe the younger brother is like, what, 25?
Yeah.
But he starts having a fit in the kitchen, like screaming.
That was brought on by the brother.
So the mom, Jolie Richardson, is really good at sort of de-escalating the situation. Also, it's important to know that when we first meet the family,
Uh-huh.
it's the mom and the daughter lighting the birthday cake and everything seems normal. And this is in the first like 2 minutes of the film. When we pan over to the dad in the wheelchair, and he's a black man.
Uh-huh. And they're in Scotland.
And they're in Scotland, and the mom and the daughter are white.
Mm-hmm.
When we see that black man within the first 2 minutes, well, you already know what the movie's about. Because this man, I thought that this actor did a really good job because he's doing a lot of acting with his eyes.
Roger Jogbu.
And you can tell immediately that this man does not want to be here.
It's like, giving Get Out. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you already know that the mom is like, there's something not right here.
Mm-hmm.
Then when she lets these two brothers in, and to anyone else, we would be scared. Like, these two seem sketchy. Why did I let them in my house? Jolie Richardson is as cool as a cucumber.
Oh, yeah.
She is not bothered at all. And that immediately clued me into, I bet you she's dangerous because she is not scared.
Mm-hmm.
So she tells the older brother, listen, you can't drive my car, but I'll take you. And since your brother doesn't know how to act, I'm going to lock him in the bedroom. Okay, fine.
Meanwhile, the daughter is fascinated by an outside male.
Well, because they're in this remote farmhouse. She's never allowed to leave. They don't have phones, internet, anything. So, of course, this young man's there, and the daughter is like, she immediately lets him out as soon as
she does. She goes, do you want to talk to me?
Like, oh, well, that's what happens when I guess people are deprived.
Yeah.
But he's fine. But so the mom and the older brother go on a drive, and they get to the site of the accident, and the car's flipped. But the brother wants to go because he has to grab something.
The bag of cash.
And we see that there's a third person who died in that car accident. So Jolie Richardson freaks out. Well, she shows concern. And the older brother basically holds a gun to her and says, you're not going to say shit. You're going to get me to that payphone, and we're going to get out of here. So they get back to the house, and the mom is able to lock the two brothers in the basement.
Yeah, the tables turn.
The tables turn.
Maisie hits the troubled brother Matty over the head.
When they are in the basement, who do they find? There is a lady down there.
Well, what you're forgetting, something major that happens that causes all of this is a cop shows up.
Oh my gosh.
PC Adams, played by Clifford Samuel.
I don't know how I forgot this because it's a really good scene.
Mm-hmm. But that's what causes kind of the reversal of fortune. Yeah.
Well, we'll get back to it. But yes, what causes everything to flip is that a cop shows up because they found like the site of an accident. And okay. So while the two brothers are down in this basement, they find a lady strapped to a hospital bed who's had all of her appendages amputated. Like her limbs have been amputated. Like she's holding on for dear life.
It's very boxing Helena.
Yes. And then on the wall, there are all these newspaper articles. And that's when we realize, and this movie this part of the story reminds me of the film Inside from 2007.
With Beatrice Dahl, yeah.
Because we find out that Jolie Richardson, many years ago, was involved in a car accident where her son, Ollie, died. The other car that hit her was comprised of this family, that black man, the lady in that hospital bed with no arms or legs, and the daughter, Maisie.
Mm-hmm.
And so what did Jolie Richardson do? Well, since you took my son away from me, I'm going to take your family.
Mm-hmm.
So she keeps the husband drugged, like
permanent. So for a decade.
For a decade, he's been paralyzed. And then the daughter, this is there are a couple of parts of the script that didn't quite work for me that I'll get to. But the daughter believes that Jolie Richardson is her mom.
Mm-hmm.
So the two brothers are able to escape the basement. They reconnect with Maisie, the daughter, and they tell her, bitch, that lady is not your mama. Like, the proof is in the basement.
Like J-Lo sings.
I ain't your mama. So, or what's the other stupid? Well, there are many stupid ones.
Oh, not the mama.
Fresh out the oven.
Oh, I was going to say, or dumb J-Lo lyrics. The dinosaurs, not the mama.
But anyway, so now the daughter believes. So then there's kind of a showdown, but before that can really get going, a couple of things happen. One, Jolie Richardson recognizes that the younger brother with the emotional issues, because it's important to know that the two brothers have a falling out.
They have their own familial strife concerning mothers.
Yes, which I thought was a very good part of the script. Mm-hmm. That those two brothers, the younger brother has been told that the mom died, but they have a come to Jesus moment where the older brother says, "You're so difficult and annoying, and that's why mom left." What are you talking about? She didn't die. She left because she couldn't stand you. So then now they are upset with each other. Mm-hmm. And the older brother says, after we get out of this, you're on your own. I'm done. So of course the younger brother feels abandoned. Mm-hmm. So that's the perfect opportunity for Jolie Richardson to say, like, I can tell that you need a mother. I'm going to be that mother for you. And he buys into it. Mm-hmm. So that kind of throws a wrench and stuff, because now the younger brother has sided with the mother while the daughter and the older brother are trying to figure out what to do. When all of a sudden, the bad guy who they owe this money to, the one they're trying to like get to, he shows up.
McAllister.
And he found that car accident on the way up and sees that the person who died in that car is his son. So he's real mad. Mm-hmm. So a shootout ensues, and ultimately the bad guys who showed up, they all get killed. Maisie was able to get her dad into a car and drive off to safety. So the final scene of the film is we're at the police station, mm-hmm. and the police officer is telling Maisie, like, your dad is recuperating. He can talk. He wants to see you. Don't worry. You're safe. We're going to catch your mother. And then we cut to this like castle on a remote like island. And now Jolie Richardson is there doing the same shit with the two brothers. Mm-hmm. The older brother is paralyzed in a room while the younger brother is having a beautiful meal with his new mother. The end.
And the paralyzed brother is having to watch it.
And that was something that Jolie Richardson had done with the other family. While the mother with the amputated limbs was in the basement, Jolie Richardson had set up all these cameras so she could watch.
So the imprisoned mother could watch her kind of
take care of her family, including sexually, because we see her being sexual with this man who's paralyzed.
Yeah, and smiling at the camera like, ooh.
This movie was, I have to say, I think the script is really strong.
Does your penis work though if you're that paralyzed?
Well, maybe. Well, we find out that she's an anesthesiologist.
Okay, maybe she knows how to manipulate.
So she probably knows how to hit the spine at the right spot.
Okay, all right.
But
sounds like a lot of work.
I thought the script was very effective. Mm-hmm. The character development really.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The initial setup is, like out of a classic neo-noir.
Familiar.
It's very familiar. I mean, the William Wyler, Humphrey Bogart film Desperate Hours, which was remade by Michael Cimino in the early 90s with Anthony Hopkins and Mimi Rogers, about these criminals that kind of, lasso this family at their suburban house as a holdout until they can figure out how they're going to escape from there. But immediately that they have stumbled into something dangerous themselves.
I thought, yes. And I thought the fun part, so I think the script and the character development are really strong and really had me invested in what was going on, to the point where I think that even though I knew what was happening, I was very interested to see like where it goes. Mm-hmm. Like I cared about these characters, which is so funny because sometimes when we complain about movies and like these flat one-dimensional characters, and then there's always some asshole commenting like, what do you want? I liked it. It was a fun. I want this. Mm-hmm. I want like.
Well,
You can
investment.
write characters that you care about, like that have some dimension to them.
Well, the dimension, there's an investment needed, like it's interesting that you have these kind of parallel dysfunctional families and they've kind of come together to fill a certain need for one another.
Yeah, so I liked the script. I think the performances from everyone were strong.
Mm-hmm.
What didn't kind of work for me, I think, the look of the film, it's dark in that way that always makes me think, oh, you probably didn't have the resources to like maybe have the set design you wanted or whatever.
Sure.
So you're compensating for a lot. So that gets a little, I don't know. And then there are aspects to the story that kind of had me confused. First of all, we see that when the accident happened that caused Joely Richardson to take over this family,
Mm-hmm.
Maisie was not a baby. She was a kid, like maybe like, I'm bad with ages, but maybe like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't forget my mom at the age of 5.
And she hasn't quite, but because there's a scene where she's asking, like, you used to sing a song to me and you don't anymore.
Right. I kind of wish that I would have better understood. And also, like you already mentioned, so this man's been just, because we also find out that she has to inject him with that paralytic every hour.
Oh, well, or like several times throughout the day at least.
It just seems like for a decade you've been.
What would that do to your body?
Yeah, it just seems like that is not. I don't know. And then of course, like the ending where we see now she has this new fabulous home somewhere else. Like, how is she doing this? Like, where is she getting money from?
Don't the authorities know that's her MO and they'd look for any remote housing?
I don't have a lot of notes, I think. Getting back to knowing what this is all about. Earlier on, one of the brothers says, I've done some horrible things you can't imagine. And Joely Richardson says, you don't know my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Oh, okay. So the scene I skipped that was an important one is this cop shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So he knocks on the door, and I thought it was very good because it's one of those scenes where the cop can clock that something's not quite right. Because he's like, oh, so you, like, this is a lot of farmland. Like, it's just the two of you? Because all he sees is Joely Richardson with her husband in a wheelchair.
Yep.
He's like, you two managed this farm all by yourself? Yep. Ew, interesting. And then he looks over into like the dining room and he sees like that the place settings for the cake, that there are 3 plates. So he goes, oh, did you have some guests? Well, we had a child that died, so we like to pretend that they're still alive. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, Virginia Woolf. And then he's like, okay. And then he's looking around when all of a sudden he gets attacked.
Well, he sees a picture. He asks, what was your child's name? She says, Ollie.
But then
he takes a picture that he taken from a frame and he's like, well, then who's this girl?
Right.
Like, that's her, isn't it?
And then the 2 brothers bust in, and so then there's a whole showdown, and unfortunately the cop gets killed. But I thought that scene was very good, very tense.
Mm-hmm. Well, he gets killed by Joely Richardson. And that's when Jack, the older brother's like, damn, something is messed up here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I thought the scene where the brothers find the other mother in the basement was good because when because you can tell that it's CGI, like her, but it was very creepy.
Yeah, I agree. And that's like a shade of Barbarian almost too.
Oh, and it was sad because at a point, the lady in the bed, she asks the older brother, like, will you kill me? I can't keep living like this. Mm-hmm. And he does. He smothers her with the pillow. I actually thought that was really sad.
Well, then when he can finally convinces Maisie that that woman was her mother, she's like, do you know where she is?
I know. And
he's like, no,
I don't. I just killed her, but no, I don't. Yeah, that was, I mean, God, it's just like, you would think like it's so easy to write an interesting script, but clearly it's not, because I watched so many movies that are so uninspired and just like, God, it just seems like you didn't, like if you just would have taken 2 more passes at it.
Yeah.
And this script does feel like whomever wrote it took the time to
flesh it out.
And so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember hearing about this when it came out, and it was just one of those things that, we get hundreds of emails for all of these releases, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, I wish we would have reviewed it because I do think of all of the emails we get from movies that, you know,
end up being so underwhelming. But
this one is quite effective. What else would you like to say about the last exit?
that's it. It reminded me that I like Jolie.
Does this person have anything coming up?
Not that
No, I
I
want
know of, no.
Matthias Hone. Do they have anything in post production? Oh, upcoming. Something called Gifted, a TV series.
Boo, TV.
Well, yeah, apparently the stuff he's worked on before is like not this genre, but I think, sir, you were very good at crafting a thriller.
Well, like he just has a film called Cockneys versus Zombies, so something with
But
the
that's the director,
comedic flair.
the writer.
Oh, the writer.
Well, I was talking about the director, but now I think I should look up the writer. Like, what else have they done?
Neil Linpao. I'm not sure.
Oh, not much. Wow. Well, good job, people. What would you give this film?
3.
I think it's good. I would give it 3 out of 5. Okay. So next week, I know we have some reviews dropping, like for the J-Lo movie Unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
I might drop that tomorrow.
Okay, do.
Because it's not like it's spoilers. It's based on a real person.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the new Steven Soderbergh movie Presence.
Mm-hmm. Which I liked.
And then I know we're seeing Wolfman.
God, what did this? The press screening for Wolfman and One of Them Days is the same time tomorrow. So
I know, but so we have to choose which one we're going to see. So I chose Wolfman because if I have to spend money, I'd rather.
Yeah, we'll give it to Kiki.
I'd rather give my money to Kiki. So we're going to pay to see Kiki's movie
later in the week.
But so we'll have those two.
Mm-hmm. And then Cameron Diaz's return.
What? On Netflix?
Uh-huh.
With Jamie Foxx?
Yeah, that's next week.
Oh, we're just going to watch that on Netflix then.
I don't know.
Is there a press or is there a...
Well, you didn't respond to my email, so...
Oh, well, I guess we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Ta-ta.